Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. My name is Abdul Rahman Khan. Thank you, and thank you for joining the ARC channel today. Last week was pretty exciting. I wanted to get back on the divisional round matchup this week, but a few surprises from last week, and of course the Texans and the Packers. What performances by both teams. So, with the matchups coming up this weekend, we've got this Saturday, January 20th, we've got two matchups. We've got the Ravens, who are going to be hosting the Texans. We've also got the 49ers, who are going to be hosting the Packers, and both are first seeds. So, of course, coming off a bye, this will be pretty exciting, pretty interesting, and I'm sure a lot of nerves, especially for the fans, because every time, your team comes back from bye, and the expectations are hopefully they're rested, but at the same time, sometimes buys can backfire for many teams. I mean, you've seen teams get rusty coming out of the bye. It gets rough. So it really just depends on the team, the coaching, and the character of the team, and how well they've prepared during those 2 weeks that they were off, how focused they've been. So that really is what we're hoping, that both teams, the 49ers and the Ravens, have been prepping well and, go into the week and win their matchups. But that being said, on to our first game this weekend will be the Texans against the Ravens in Baltimore. That's a 4:30 p.m. matchup. It's a great matchup, man, between both teams. You've got the Texans, who are up and coming. C.J. Stroud once again proving last weekend that he belongs in the conversation for one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, this guy's been sensational all the way through the season. Had a couple games that he missed, of course, but other than that, I mean, the playoffs last week was he had a passer rating of perfect at 157.2, I believe, and so did Jordan Love, who's our other matchup this week that we're going to be discussing later today. So with the Ravens, I mean, they honestly have so much potential. Last few seasons, they've faced a few injuries, but realistically honest, this is the healthiest the Ravens have been in a while. I mean, I would say the last couple of seasons, I've picked them to get to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season. We've seen them go through injuries. I think a couple seasons ago, that was one of the worst. Lamar's been injured during the end of the season for the last couple of seasons. But again, this honestly seems to be a great opportunity and a great chance this year for them to, really take the Super Bowl this year. So, that being said, I mean, outside of Mark Andrews, who's been missing for quite a bit now, I think more than half the season. So is there a chance he's coming back this week? We'll have to see. But that being said, so the matchup looks to be great. The Houston Texans are sitting at 12th ranked overall offense. And I think we talked about this last week. They're averaging 22.2 points per game. They're top 7 in passing offense. So C.J. Stroud really can lead this team. And 22nd in rushing offense. So again, they're going to need some help from the rushing attack, right? But that being said, Ravens, on the other hand, are ranked 6th overall in offense, averaging 28.4 points per game, right around the top of the league. They're first in rushing, and honestly, that's not a surprise. I mean, considering how dynamic Lamar is, man, he really makes it tough for other teams and other defenses. Really, gets their attention. Makes it much easier for the run game. You've got Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. I mean, you name it, and whoever you want to throw in there. Of course, they've got Keaton Mitchell, who's now out for the year. That's going to be a big miss, man. That guy's quick, really makes, creates so many opportunities and makes guys miss tackles, and that's something they could have used. But, of course, you got to do what you have at this time of the year. Everyone's injured. But what really happens from here on, we'll see. But Lamar, honestly, This is a year that he's going to have to step up. I mean, they're ranked 21st in passing yards per game. So, yes, of course, when you look at the stats, it doesn't look that great, right? Ravens ranked 21st in passing offense. Is that really accurate? Of course, I mean, if you're going purely off of just the stats, but if you look at the games, you watch the Ravens games, I mean, they've done a great job mixing it up with the rush and the pass offense. And really, they rely on the pass offense at the perfect time when need be. And at the other time, they just, they let the ball be ran by, whether they're running backs or Lamar once in a while will take off. So it's been a very effective offense, really. It may not be a very, passing for 350, 400 yards every game type of an offense, but their offense really has been super dynamic, super efficient, I would say, and obviously averaging 28.4 points per game does, obviously you have to be doing something right. So great job by the Ravens so far this season. Now both quarterbacks, honestly, C.J. Stroud and Lamar, top of the league in interceptions thrown, as in the least they've thrown. Both, I believe, are sitting under 7, and around the same amount of touchdown passes. I think CJ Stroud had 23 in the regular season, and Lamar, I believe, had 24, but he also rushed in for a few. So he's sitting at a total of maybe 29. So coming up, this weekend historically, like I said earlier, Ravens have tend to, fall flat out of a bye. But during Lamar's tenure, the 4 playoff games he has played in, I mean, he's 1-3. It's a lot of pressure on Lamar. He's averaged 13 points per game in his, 4 starts as in the playoffs as a Raven. So we're hoping that, he comes out and lights it up. On the other hand, CJ Stroud, I mean, wow, last week was amazing. He's already, arriving to the scene, blistering hot and taking the league by storm, man. So props to CJ, and Lamar, obviously a lot of pressure on him. So we're hoping he performs well this weekend. That being said, defensively, Ravens are ranked 6th overall, and they're allowing a league low 16.5 points per game. Now, that being said, the Ravens, honestly, they have a great defense. But historically, although I've seen a lot less of that this year, they tend to be exploited sometimes. And honestly, not just them. Most great defenses do get exposed here and there. It's just a matter of minimizing the amount of times you get exploited, right? So the Ravens have done a great job this year. They are also plus 12 in turnover differential this year. So the Ravens have done a great job protecting the ball, other than fumbling, a little bit of an issue. But, the defense has taken the ball away a few times. They're sitting at the top of the league with plus 12. On the other hand, the Texans aren't too far behind. CJ does a great job as well protecting the ball. And, they have a plus 10 turnover differential. So great job by both teams in terms of their special teams defenses. So, giving their offense great opportunities, and the more opportunities you give to your offense, the more likely you are obviously to win. And then getting into now the coaching, man, DeMeco Ryans, he's been tremendous this year. He could really be up there in Coach of the Year, award, and his name will probably come up. They've done a great job turning around the whole franchise this season. And CJ, again, has been a big part of it, right? And Ravens, of course, have a veteran head coach in John Harbaugh. I mean, he's been there for years. He has the experience. And honestly, this might be the best team he's had since that Super Bowl run in 2013, over 10 years ago. So I think he knows what's at stake, and he's going to understand that and push forward with that. So, I think after a great game by the Texans last week against the Browns, I mean, wow. They're moving with a great momentum right now, and that's going to be a handful for the Ravens. This team, really can explode for big plays. Honestly, they're going to miss Tank Dell. He's been out. Obviously, he's out for the season. But Tank Dell, Nico Collins, these guys really make the Texans a really dangerous team, man. But that being said, they're going to have to rely on a mixture of pass and run. Ravens have a 12th ranked run defense. So if there's a time to take advantage of the Ravens' run defense, it's now. Unfortunately, the Texans are ranked, I believe, 23rd in the league in run attack. So it's not their strong suit, but they've got to find a way to, take advantage of that. That's probably where they're going to have to go. CJ obviously is going to light it up regardless. He's going to have a solid game. That's just because it's CJ Stroud, right? And then because the Ravens are allowing 110 rushing yards per game. So this is the time. Now, I think the Ravens are very well aware of the Texans' run defense, ranked 6th in the league in the regular season. So this is a game where, honestly, Lamar's going to have to just carry with his arm. Because the Texans do have a 23rd ranked pass offense. So this is the time where Lamar, he's going to have to, throw for 300 yards, possibly 280, 300, maybe 2-3 touchdowns, and keep the game clean. Lamar's been really good at that this year. So keeping it to 0 interceptions, there's no reason why they shouldn't, win and move forward to the AFC Championship game. So, they faced each other in week 1. The Ravens, week 1, it was week 1. So Ravens did win 25-9, but so much has changed for both teams. I'm sure CJ has grown. Ravens have had a new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken, a new defensive coordinator. So they have grown as well. There's been so many improvements. I'm sure they have designed some new plays and then added to their playbook. Same with the Texans. So both teams are very different from what they were, over 20 weeks ago, not 19, 20 weeks ago. So I'm not expecting the same type of matchup and same type of result. But, this is going to be probably a much closer game. And for the most part of the game. No, I think Ravens will take over at the end. And that's just, I would expect from the Ravens, a great team that they have been this year. But that being said, earlier we mentioned that the Ravens have had pretty much a healthy season outside of Mark Andrews. One guy I forgot is Devin Duvernay. He's making a comeback this week, from what it seems. And only guy who's going to be out for the most part is definitely Marlon Humphrey. But big news, they're actually expecting Devin Duvernay to be back, and Mark Andrews looks to be on track. So that's a big deal. I mean, if he's active this week and just gets a few snaps and then they win, I mean, he's going to be a big, big part of possibly the AFC game, and they need that. I mean, Isaiah Likely's been great this year, to be honest. Great fill-in for Mark Andrews, and he's probably a future tight end for the Ravens. And they can honestly mix it up with him and Mark Andrews now in the playoffs. Two tight end set, so many plays. It really opens up the playbook. So that's exciting news for the Ravens. Honestly, they're just getting healthy at the right time. And as long as Marlon Humphrey comes back, this should be, it looks like the Ravens season, man. Really looks like the Ravens year. And I'm expecting them to get to the Super Bowl and honestly win this whole thing this year. But we'll see. So many things have changed. And last week, a lot of surprises did take place. So you never know. You really never know. With that being said, I'm going to pick the Ravens winning this game 35-24 and moving on to the AFC game. Who they will be facing, we'll discuss that later in the next video. That being said, thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, pregame analysis. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe and enjoy the games this weekend.